Little Fires Everywhere, a book that swept the nation. The book follows these two different families. They end up in the same small-ish type of town in Shaker Heights, Ohio, and they come across each other because one family is renting somewhere to stay from the other family. And over the course of the book, their lives intertwine more so than you might think a renter and a rentee relationship would. Gosh, I mean, the author just did such a good job of building these characters. Each character in the book has a lot of background and a lot of interiority, which I really, really appreciated because it did a lot for character development. So I definitely recommend Little Fires Everywhere. There's a lot packed into there and a lot to think about when it comes to the different characters. So I would say definitely pick that up and read it. Welcome back to another episode of the Me in the Making podcast. I'm your host, Melly Clay, and thanks for joining me. This is a podcast about self discovery, about introspection. It's about encouraging personal development and growth. And this is season three. And on season three, we have video and audio. So if you like to watch on video, come over to the YouTube link that is in the show notes. And if you happen upon this on YouTube, but you like listening to podcasts on audio, I'm where you get your favorite podcasts. You can find me anywhere and everywhere. So come on in. There are episodes from seasons one and two on audio only. And this is season three, where I have solo episodes where I'm talking to you all about some of the things that I've been growing on and thinking about and just experiencing life. And I come with here to share my thoughts on what I've been going through. And I ask you all questions about maybe some of the things that you might be going through related to what I'm going through. And we can build community here. So let me know any thoughts or questions that you have in the comments or share with your family and friend. I would love that. If you have been here for a while, please leave a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. I think you can also rate on Pocket Casts as well. So if you listen on that app, you can give me a rating. Please give me a 5-star rating, and that helps this podcast to grow and help people to find it. And if you leave a review of about what you're getting out of the show, things that you like about the show, people can know more about it from a different perspective and decide to watch. So this episode, I'm back with Book Corner, and I had a Book Corner episode release at the end of October. So if you're someone who loves to read, or maybe you're trying to get back into reading and you're looking for some suggestions, go ahead and check that one out. I think it was like the last week of October, I think that was when it released. So check that out, see what I'm talking about in that episode. And in this episode, I'm talking to you about two books, and those are these two. So, Little Fires Everywhere, which is a book that swept the nation. And it's also a Hulu series and also 7 Year Slip. So these two books are, I had a good time with these. I actually watched the series of Little Fires Everywhere before I read the book. And I watched the series when it first came out. So I honestly don't remember a lot about how they adapted the series. So when I came across the book, I was like, well, I definitely want to read the book because I want to see what they did differently from the series, and then I will eventually rewatch the series because obviously with book adaptations there are a lot of things that they have to change with adaptations for the screen, whether it be because that's what the TV makers want to do, or maybe it's just something that's too difficult to like translate to TV or to movies. So I read this book and it was pretty, I don't want to say dense, but it was a little bit dense in like the prose, I would say. So there is dialogue, of course, but the author is doing a lot to set up what's happening with these different characters. And each character in the book has a lot of background and a lot of interiority, which I really, really appreciated because it did a lot for character development. So I would say it's not like a beach read or something. Well, I don't think I wouldn't consider it a beach read that you would take maybe if you're going on vacation this winter and you're looking for a beach read type, something that's kind of like fluffy. I would say this is not what you're looking for, but Little Fires Everywhere. Gosh, I mean, the author just did such a good job of building these characters, and so I'll give like a brief outline of what the plot is. Well, not the plot. I won't give any spoilers, basically, is what I'm saying. But the book follows these two different families. They end up in the same small-ish type of town in Shaker Heights, Ohio, and they come across each other because one family is renting somewhere to stay from the other family. And over the course of the book, their lives intertwine more so than you might think a renter and a rentee relationship would. And both of the families, there are children involved. They're like in high school, and their lives become intertwined like in a deep kind of way. And I would say in an unexpected type of way. Of course, like the children are around the same age, so they kind of find form this natural bond because children in a small town, like they all go to the same school, so they do kind of find their way to being each other's friends. But I would say in the way that the parents connect is unexpected and pretty tumultuous. So there is a lot going on there where there are some outside forces that are impacting the two sets of parents' relationship. And it's really interesting to see how it all plays out and like what each parent chooses to kind of deal with those external issues that are going on outside of their families, and then how it then impacts their families and the relationship between each other. Little Fires Everywhere. I mean, honestly, truly, very aptly named from what it is that's happening between each of these children, these teenagers, and also like between these adults. And sometimes you're just thinking, or sometimes I was thinking, why can't people just say what they want, say what they need, say what's going on? But a lot of times that's not reality, right? Like a lot of times we don't really know how to go about what it is that we want out of a situation. It's difficult. We don't want to be vulnerable, or we don't know if we can trust the other person to really like open up and say, this is what I think and this is what I want. Of course, you might not get what it is that you want, even if you do verbalize it, but I feel like sometimes we could get to at least get to a resolution faster if we actually say what it is that we need. But I understand that it's difficult to do that, especially like with humans, it's hard. It's tough to do that. But I will say for Little Fires Everywhere, you a lot of you have probably already read this book. I would say if you've read it, reread it. It's just so interesting. The main thing that's driving this plot, and I don't want to say exactly what it is because that would, I don't want to spoil that plot point for you all, but it's something that is really interesting to think about. Like, what would you do in this situation if you were faced with such something that doesn't necessarily have a clear outcome, like you should do it this way, because on either side you can kind of see why someone would think that they should go about a situation this way versus a different way. So I definitely recommend Little Fires Everywhere. There's a lot packed into there, and a lot to think about when it comes to the different characters. So I would say definitely pick that up and read it. You could probably, I'm sure you can get it from your local library if it's on hold. Put your name so that you can get it and read it and support your local libraries. Same for the 7 Year Slip. I know that this is at y'all's libraries. I got this from my job actually has a book club, and we also have a little library that we can rent books out of. Like people, I've donated books to the library because there are some books that I might not ever read again. So I'm like, oh, I'll just, put it here so that other people can use it and read it and just share resources. So this book, sorry if you hear an ambulance in the background. I don't know if my mic is picking it up. But anyway, this book, The 7 Year Slip, is essentially a romance novel. Um, and I would say that it is kind of predictable, but I'll also say that there is more to the story beyond, you know, woman meets man, they fall in love, they try to figure out how they can live life. Like it's not only that, there is a good amount of plot to this story, I would say. Like there's pretty good character development, not as good as Little Fires Everywhere, but I don't know if you could compare the two books. I'm just comparing them because those are the two books that I've recently read. Um but I would say with the 7 Year Slip, the fun thing about this book is that you get to learn a little bit more about book publishing and how publicists within a book publishing company deal with their authors, what they do to convince them to come to their publishing house, and just some of the things that they do to be able to get an author who is well sought after onto their team and with them. So the 7 Year Slip is basically, and it tells you this on the back of the book, so I'm not spoiling anything there, but basically the main character lives in an apartment that takes you back in time 7 years. And you never really know when it's going to happen. You don't know who you're going to end up meeting in that apartment because if you did not own that apartment 7 years prior, you're going to be coming across someone else who lives there, whether they rent there, whether they're buying, or whether they've bought the apartment, whether they own it, whatever the case might be, you're going to come across this other person and it might spark something. So the 7 Year Slip, the book as a whole, I think is does a good job of telling people, you know, examine your life. So examine your life in a cute kind of way, but also if you are examining your life, you might realize that you aren't happy, or you might realize that that thing that you wanted to do 7, 10 years ago, and now you realize you're not doing it, but now you would step back 7 years in time and you're reunited with that passion that you used to have, or that hobby that you used to partake in, and you realize that 7 years in the future you're not really tapping into that stuff. So I appreciated the book because it's like, what are those hobbies that I want to reconnect with? Or like maybe there's someone from your past who you want to reconnect with. I'm not necessarily saying do that because I don't know, I'm not big on spinning the block, but if it's something where maybe it's a friend in your past who it's a relationship that you let go by the wayside because you got so busy with life, or with marriage or kids, etc. Maybe there's something from your past that you would like to revisit because you realize that you let it slip away. So I would recommend the 7 Year Slip. It's cute. This is definitely more of a beach read than Little Fires Everywhere. And it's a pretty fast read. I was reading it kind of slowly because honestly, in the beginning, I wasn't super interested in it. But I gotten it from my work library and I was like, why not? Like, let me just get through it. But when I did start to read it, when I was like, okay, let me just spend a little bit more time with it. When I did do that, I realized, you know what? I do like this book. So it was a little bit unexpected, but yeah, it's cute. It's a really cute read, so I definitely recommend it. And so yeah, this has been Book Corner. I will come probably not every month, because I want to read several books at a time to come back with multiple books to talk about. So it'll probably be more of like an every other month type of cadence. But yeah, I do want to get on here and talk to you all about books. What are some of the books that you all have been reading recently? I do want to get into more nonfiction. So I think the next book corner, I will have at least one nonfiction book in there to talk to you all about. And yeah, so yeah, let me know what you've been reading or what you want to read. Let me know if you have read either of these two books or if you have watched the series of Little Fires Everywhere. And yeah, so now I want to move into my next segment. It's called Pod Corner, and this is a segment where I recommend a podcast to you all because I really enjoy listening to podcasts, and they are something that I take with me. So I like to listen to a lot of different news podcasts, comedy ones. I'll listen to podcasts about pop culture, about media, about dating. I really enjoy listening to dating podcasts, and I think I've recommended several to you all throughout this season. And this podcast I want to recommend to you all is called Leaving the Theater. And this is a podcast. Literally, the host is leaving the theater after he has finished watching a movie, and he's talking to you all on the spot about what he thought about the movie, the plot, who was in the movie. Sometimes he'll have a guest on the show where they watched the movie together and they're both coming out of the theater talking about their initial thoughts from what they had recently watched. And it's not a big time commitment. I think the episodes are generally under 20 minutes, like between 20 and 30 minutes. And they're talking about their initial thoughts about it and just give you an idea about what the movie is. And some of the movies you might not see covered in other movie podcasts. So he is talking to you about different movies that maybe you had never heard of, or maybe you weren't planning to watch. Maybe he'll convince you to watch, or, you never know. So it's called Leaving the Theater, and I definitely recommend it because it is something where, like, sometimes you might go to a movie by yourself and you have no one else to talk to about that niche movie that you watched, but he might have covered it in his podcast. So definitely check out Leaving the Theater. And this has been another episode of the Me in the Making podcast. Please share with your friends and family. Give me a 5-star rating. And thanks again. Bye. This has been another episode of the Me in the Making podcast. Please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Tell a friend, tell a family member. We all deserve to grow and change and become our best selves, whatever that might look like to you. And please connect on Instagram at Making Me Pod, on TikTok. You can email me at meli@makingmepod.com. I would love to hear from you. Let me know if you want to be a guest on the show. And yeah, I'm just having such a great time. I'm so happy to have been able to launch this video episode for you all, and come again. Bye.